I'm Sarah Lacy.
And I'm Paul Carr.
Welcome to Why Is This News? So I'm pissed off.
Hooray! Oh, that's
I was just
good.
looking at Tech Meme, and that always pisses me off because I'm never on there. No, I was pissed because there's an article in Business Week that's like, in case of another tech bubble, break glass.
Don't break glass.
Or something like that.
I saw
and it's
this.
like
Don't break
the third
glass.
article I've seen in the last couple weeks since this Goldman deal really
It's Monday,
with
there must
Facebook.
be another tech
and
bubble.
It's like, I feel like every couple years, New York-based media needs a damn education on what actually happened in the late 1990s, because it's nothing like what's happening now, nor was it like what was happening in the early Web 2.0 days, or any other time that they've said, it's just like 99 again, and written a million covers on it, and it hasn't been.
Well, why don't you give them that lesson now? Here we are. New York is listening.
All right.
So yeah, it's another one. We see these all the time. It's like every time there's a big story about, it doesn't matter what the startup is, getting a high valuation, it can almost be Quora. And suddenly it's like, is there a bubble?
Right.
But especially, with Facebook and Groupon being valued as they are, and with the sort of IPO rumors and which, to be fair, we're adding to.
But they are going to go public at some point.
Yeah,
but that again does not mean there's a tech bubble.
Agreed.
I mean, so there's a couple different things.
A boom does not equal a bubble. Is another.
A single company doing really well that's been building for the better part of 10 years. And is finally going to go public does not equal a bubble. A couple key points I think people keep missing. People keep talking about tech valuations soaring, and they lump into this Facebook and Groupon and then startup valuation soaring. And we did see all those things in the late 90s.
Yeah.
But they were all correlated to an IPO market where every day you had pricing of internet IPOs.
Yeah.
Most of them who'd only been in existence for 18 months and were soaring hugely on their first day.
Yeah.
Nothing like that has happened.
We also saw those T-shirts that changed color based on heat. But if they came back, we wouldn't necessarily.
I'm not sure that's really relevant.
I'm just saying.
But
things that happened in the 90s does not.
Point being, even if Groupon, Facebook, LinkedIn, Zynga all went out this year, still nothing like the late 90s. I mean, if you had all those in one day and then had another day like that and then another day like that, then that might be the case.
Yeah.
But I mean, inherent in the point that there's so few companies that have this potential to be these billion-dollar plus IPOs that will soar and will do very well, the same way Google did. I mean, Google wasn't a Netscape either.
Yeah.
I think that even if the point is, with the exception of Groupon, which has only been around a few years and is backed by real revenues, so it's not a nosebleed valuation, all of these companies have been around for the better part of 10 years, steadily building businesses.
Yeah.
So what happened in the IPO bubble was companies were going out and going into 18 months. So when people talk about, watch out, there's going to be all this carnage, the reason there was carnage is they weren't real companies.
Yeah.
These are all real companies.
Yeah,
so
well,
nothing
Facebook,
about it makes sense.
Facebook has very real revenues, and they're also not going public in lieu of revenues. They're going public because that's a natural progression. It's Facebook has very real revenues. Groupon has astonishingly good revenues. It's a natural business progression, perhaps, than to IPO, but it's not a necessity otherwise. For money.
And it's not a marketing event. And I think the other thing is people equivalent to success in the late 90s was going public.
Yeah.
There was this desire to go public. That was the only way you cashed out stock options. It was the only way you got liquidity if you're investors.
Right.
All of that has been dramatically changed in the last 10 years because people don't want to go public. The reason that we're talking about now, there being this great, it's just like 99 again bubble, is because companies like Facebook and LinkedIn have been putting off going public for so long. So until you even have a desire to go public again, there's just nothing about this is 1999.
I think there's part of it where we almost shouldn't pay too much attention to it, because I think it's one of those.
But people believe it.
No, I know, I agree. But the point is,
smart people.
So first of all, smart people definitely shouldn't. But even anyone, you've got to, it just seems to me that it's such a. We've talked before on about that idea of of it being pretty safe to bet against an African leader, because the chances are, but statistically speaking, the chances are they'll be overthrown or turn out to be corrupt. And so no journalist has ever gone broke by saying, I don't trust whoever, from Paul Kagame to whoever. It's the same as, it seems there's no consequence to a journalist saying, it could be another bubble.
I'm sorry. If you're a reporter or editor for Business Week, a publication that people go to for investing advice, that is stupid and irresponsible.
I agree with you.
If you were writing for the Wall Street Journal, if you were writing for the New York Times.
I agree with you. But apparently there's no consequence.
This isn't Mashable.
Well, so we can all thank the Lord for that. But the point is, there were apparently no consequences. Apparently no journalist has ever been fired from saying, oh, it reminds me of the bubble. I mean, because we keep hearing this. Like, no one ever gets fired for saying it. No one ever gets told to stop. Like, Business Week, this isn't the first time they've done it. And, and again, it's like, oh, I've got nothing to write this week. And I mean, I've been guilty as anyone of like being like, oh, I've got nothing to write this week. But generally speaking, I find something that I believe in, even if it's a bit of a stretch. Like, it seems to me that there's this, like, using the break glass metaphor, it's like, in case of not having a column to write this week, break glass and pull out this bubble fucking metaphor and go, oh, it's just like that. And lots of people who don't really know that much will just go, that's a fair point. I mean, even to the point
where... Well, it's just bad reporting, because, I mean, it's people sitting in New York who are seeing valuations, who are seeing parties, who are seeing people, and there's absolutely a war on talent. And I mean, as I said on our year-end show, I'm a bit concerned about how out of step Silicon Valley is with the rest of the country when it comes to jobs, when it comes to salaries, when it comes to our economy. But that still is not like 99, because no one is going public based on a business plan.
To that point as well, it's also slightly wonderful, and I can't remember word for word the Business Week article, so I don't know whether this is an example of that. But I googled after we talked about doing this, and I looked the amount of people commenting on this who say it'll be another Silicon Valley bubble, like another. Yeah. Groupon's in Chicago.
I know, and that seems to be the one that is driving so much. It's basically Facebook and Groupon are the two that are cited over and over again.
We're seeing a Chicago bubble. We're seeing the first Chicago tech bubble. It's like this is a much. But again, it's another difference. It's not just this sort of centered on Silicon Valley obsession. It's
and I mean, more VCs, as we've discussed, have made Silicon Valley VCs have made more money from China IPOs in the last 6 months than they've made from Silicon Valley IPOs. Yeah. A story that like people just completely ignore because they want to fixate on this Facebook IPO that is still not going to happen this year.
Sarah, are we seeing another Chinese tech bubble? Is this going to be just like
that? Could be a bubble.
I imagine 1999 probably was in China. I think in 1999 there was no internet.
I mean, it's the same thing that pisses me off about when people say, is China the next Silicon Valley? It's like, let's see. One is a massive country with 1.3 billion people. One is a 50-mile stretch where you actually have real network and community effects. Like, what do you think? Yeah. No, they're completely... No. I mean, it's just kind of, I think, the general frustration that you have when you've been in Silicon Valley through a couple cycles and you hear everyone saying, this is the next so-and-so, I mean, Facebook isn't the next Google. Yeah. They're really different companies.
I would say conditional headlines, like, in this case, in case of next bubble, do this, or is there another bubble? Yeah. It's like, if you're a fucking columnist, you need to say, this is happening. Like, I would almost have more respect for somebody who, albeit still wrong, said, I have decided this is another bubble. At least then they're putting their balls on the line. To be like, oh, if this happens, what should we do? It's like...
You've added no value.
Yeah, in the rare event of a water landing. Like, that's not a opinion piece. That's just... There's a reason why you can train anyone to say that. I mean, like a recorded announcement. It's like, I feel like the tech press has this recorded announcement they press every so often. It says, in case of bubble, write bullshit column.
But it's the New York-based tech press. I don't ever see these articles coming out of Silicon Valley. Well, that's the key metric.
No, but then the Silicon Valley tech press is ours and Mashable and...
No, GigaOM, All Things D. There's bureaus here. I mean...
Yeah, I guess. No, I mean, but again,
I mean, this wasn't Brad Stone writing this article. It wasn't any of the Valley-based.
No, I mean, not least because it would be retarded. I mean, it's so brain dead that they probably would have to be fired, not because they for that piece, but because they'd obviously lost their mind. Anyone who's ever been here would know the Groupon. I don't see a lot of Groupon staffers wandering around. Every so often Lena comes in. I mean, she's married to a Groupon staffer. That's the nearest we get, I think. I think I bought a Groupon once. Anyway, so there isn't a bubble. We can all relax.
I feel better after venting. Anything you want to vent about?
Julian Assange is still in prison, isn't he? No, I've got nothing for now. Nope. Join us next week on Why Is This News?